Welcome back to the studio. Slightly different camera angle here, isn't it? I've changed the camera setup on the desk. Does it make much difference, these things? No, of course it doesn't. It's more about what I'm actually saying, or at least I like to flatter myself and think it's more about what I'm saying. That's why I didn't bother to change the lens on the camera and put a slightly more expensive lens on there, because I thought that shouldn't be the thing that counts. What should count in this video is me talking about 30 days of morning pages, what I've learned in 30 days of doing morning pages. Obviously by now, speaking to you now, how many days has it been now? I think the 30th day of actually writing morning pages was on Saturday. Today is Wednesday, so I've done Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 35, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I can't count. 4 days, 34 days I have done morning pages. Obviously in that time, there's not 34 days, well now I've made up, so anyway. In the original 30 calendar days, I missed 4 of them, so I added those 4 days on. Now, 30 days is the significance of 30 days is that's how long it's said to take to form a new habit. I can finally say without any doubt or equivocation that morning pages is an essential part of my daily routine now. Absolutely. To the extent that when I went for, I set off for a 2-day walk yesterday. I didn't do 2 days in the end. I only did a day. But when I left, I was packing my bag, and I was bearing in mind, I was packing for a good sort of 17 to 20 mile walk, then an overnight, and then a few days after that. But when I packed my bag for this 2-day hike, 20 miles a day, 15 to 20 miles a day, I couldn't leave out the enlarged journal that I've started using for my morning pages, because I thought when I wake up I have to do my morning pages now. As much as I do the other things I do in the morning pages are now right there in the front of my mind. I couldn't conceive of going away and not doing my morning pages. And I'll share with you the evolution of the logistics, if you like, or the mechanics of the morning pages that I've picked up over that time. In the spirit of morning pages, on the weekend, on Saturday, I thought rather than me really try to think about this, I would morning page around the 30 days of morning pages. Obviously it wasn't intentional. I think that sort of slightly goes against the grain, but it was just on my mind because it was the 30th day. And I woke up thinking about it and I thought, well, what have I learned from these 30 days, or what are the things I take away from it and that I take forward? And basically that is what I'll share with you in this video, more or less. One of the most interesting things is one of the most obvious things people say about morning pages, it just purges the mind. It releases anxious thoughts that you have first thing in the day, and there can be all sorts of anxious thoughts, can't they? In some cases, reading back, sometimes it's a dream that I've had. It's a bit like the thing that sometimes the first thing on your mind in the morning is something maybe that came up in a dream and you don't know what it means. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, sometimes you think you do and it actually means something else. So actually by that, just putting it down your morning pages, I find that really, really helps if there is something on your mind. But whatever it is, it's just a release of thoughts. In some cases, they have been anxious thoughts for me. And doing the morning pages has helped release that, to purge my mind of any kind of anxious thoughts. And that's a great way to start the day. It reminds me a little bit of meditation. I did transcendental meditation for a bit actually. And the only reason I stopped is it used to relax me so much. I used to go back to sleep or feel like I wanted to go back to sleep. So I had to stop. I had a wonderful meditation teacher who is here on YouTube. I'm trying to remember what his YouTube channel is. I'll try and find it and put it up here. His name is Bob Roth. And he runs, I think, the David Lynch Foundation. And I remember telling Bob about this, like my brain is so active when I'm meditating, because that's good, because that's the stuff bubbling up to the surface. You're getting down deep into your thoughts and releasing the stuff that needs to be released. I find morning pages is a little bit like that. That by just allowing yourself to write whatever, not mediating it, not editing it, not filtering it, not judging it, you release a lot of things that you just don't really need in your head rattling around all day. And by getting them out onto the morning pages, kind of like they're gone, which is a brilliant way to start the day. For me, that's why actually in a lot of ways, the other thing I've learned through practice is sometimes I haven't been able to do them the very first thing for one reason or another. And when I do them later on, even if it's just I've got out of bed, Like the dog's asleep on the floor here. Sometimes the dog gets up and wants to be fed and let out, so I have to do that first. Then I'm downstairs and I start doing something else downstairs, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe I start, oh no, I haven't replied to that email, I've got to do that thing. And then at that point, when I sit down to do the morning pages after that, it's completely different. Still valuable. It's still a very valuable process and a practice, but it's different. It's not the thing when I wake up in the morning and just like, oh, okay, I'm awake now, roll over, get the pen and the paper and start doing it. That for me is absolutely the best way of doing it. Even to the extent that one of the things that's significant here is at the weekend, if I wake up early, my wife's still in bed and I can't do the morning pages. Even if she's asleep next to me, just feeling her there, it changes things. It makes it different. So that's really interesting. And one morning I got up and I had to come in here and do it. And I think she was a bit like, oh, you could have just carried on doing it in bed. But it's like, no, I can't. The minute that someone else is there, it changes it for me. And it's just actually, it's interesting. I was trying to do this in the spirit of a morning page. Like the very first, when I started the very first morning pages video, was a little bit unstructured because I thought maybe it should be a stream of consciousness, a bit like Julia Cameron recommends that the morning pages are. And I'm doing this, and my son moving around, coming up the stairs, playing stuff out on his phone. Suddenly it's like, oh no, like I've lost my train of thought. That's why if there's a point in this video, you might think, what happened? That's it. Wife just come home. I heard the front door go. It changes. It does change the way that you mediate and channel thoughts. Something I wrote down actually is seemingly unconnected. This was in my morning pages, so I am sharing it with you. I sort of slightly tweaked it a little bit, but seemingly unconnected streams that flow through the same valley. It's the idea of a stream of consciousness, and you you let the stuff flow out. And you just let it, one thought doesn't have to connect to the other because it's not a piece of writing, right? It's not meant to make sense. But actually, you realise that these seemingly unconnected streams of thought, they are connected. And of course the connection's you, and the idea of them flowing through the same valley, these water courses that flow into the same valley. Well, the valley, I guess, is your mind, maybe. I mean, that's the way I'm interpreting what I wrote down just naturally. The valley of your mind. And of course, there's lots of landscape metaphors come up. Lots of water phrases get used all the time. Talked about that before, I think, stream, flow, etc., etc., etc. So that's interesting. What it's done for my clarity of mind is huge. It really does bring clarity of mind, and it's part of a process I've found of understanding myself better, accepting myself more, even actually accepting the way my brain works. The YouTube video that I shot yesterday for John Rogers' walks, well, more importantly, the walk I planned, the 2-day walk, I couldn't plan it, which is a big confession actually for a walking channel. Although my walks on the walking channel are walking around London, so they're just sort of meant to be relatively short strolls, or strolls you could do yourself. Sometimes obviously I do massive epics, but the idea that I was incapable of planning a multi-day hike, because you have to work out, well, this is where I'm going to end, this is the time train I'm going to get to this place, and then I'll start the walk here, and this is the route, and then day one will end about here, and I need some accommodation. It drove me nuts. It completely drove me nuts. And obviously I thought, well, that's not really what I do. I'm known for doing city walks, urban walks. But I really wanted to do this walk, and I've wanted to do it for ages. Anyway, through doing the morning pages at the weekend, particularly yesterday when I was about to head out, and it was freaking me out a bit. It's like, I've never done that. Never. Like, I went backpacking, I went travelling. Initially to go backpacking for a year. I went away for 3 years and met my wife. But I only planned one night's accommodation, and I was away for 3 years. That's the way my brain works. That is the way I go. I just go with the flow a little bit, and I have to just see what happens along the way. And that's kind of the way I've lived my life. And I partly got that realisation in the morning pages because the night before I was watching the Netflix version of the Dirk Gently Holistic Detective Agency novels, which I love. Douglas Adams, who doesn't love a bit of Douglas Adams? And so that was on my mind in the morning. I realised that I read those books when I just finished uni, and it kind of informed my worldview and my way of living life, which is a strange reverse realisation at the age of 54. If I shave the beard off, I think I look a little bit younger, but some people think I'm 64. So anyway, morning pages. That came out of the morning pages. That's what I've learned in 30 days of morning pages. But the thing the university thing, I've learned more about myself. Is what I've learned a lot more about myself. I can't imagine doing without it. Now, see if there's anything else in here about that before I get onto the logistics. No, that's basically it. So, big change, massive change. I started off, and I talked about this in a previous video, the first video, is when I started quite spontaneously, and I was looking for something to do my morning pages with, and I had this Muji loose leaf paper. You can buy these in packs. I think it's 200 sheets in a pack. I love it. It's beautiful. And I used that. And at the time, I thought there's no way I consider using the bigger paper that Julia Cameron recommends. It's US letter. There is no direct equivalent in the UK. It's slightly smaller than A4. So A4 obviously was crazy. This felt right to me at the time. I was a bit too intimidated by a bigger book. I had these Muji B5 exercise books. That felt scary. I looked at that. And also when I started, I liked the idea of the disposability of writing on these, using the idea that you're writing it for now to purge your mind. It's not something that's really meant to be read back necessarily. Some people have added in the comments previously that actually she says you should read back maybe after a few months. Yeah, I can see that now actually. 30 days, I can dip into it a little bit. I couldn't read it all the way through. But anyway, I settled, I know a lot of people use A5 notebooks for morning pages. This felt right. And I bought this wonderful binder from Muji to house them in. And that's where I got to. I mean, that was up to the 30 days of the morning pages. And it was really gratifying, that process of kind of putting them in this binder. It all became part of the routine. I found that the paper in the end, I wanted to make a move to something bigger. And I found that actually just on a read, I was getting to the end of the end of the page too quickly. And I found that annoying. And I was doing 4 sides of this rather than the 3 sides of US letter. So I thought, number one, I'm ready for something bigger. Muji make a B5 version of this paper, but then I'd be getting a B5 one of these. They create these ones, these sort of folders for the same paper. I'll leave that in, that ding. That's another thing. I'm sitting here. I should have turned my phone off, but there you go. That's life, modern life. You can get these B5. I thought about that. On Monday, I had a big thing, right? I need to get it. I need to get the new thing. So I went into central London and I went to Muji in Covent Garden. I went to the London Graphic Centre as well. Fantastic shop, fantastic shop. Hardly any B5 in there. The only B5 they have are the Leuchtturm 1917. This is a Leuchtturm 1917 planner. They have the B5 notebooks. £28.99. And that to me feels like that's not... I still like the scruffiness of the morning pages, but I want something bigger. And what I ended up with is these. Something I'm sure all of you will be very familiar with, the Moleskine Kahir, but the, well, I think these are the, I'm not sure if these are large or extra large. I think they're probably the extra large, aren't they? Size-wise, they're a little bit bigger than a B5, a little bit wider than a B5, and about the same height. I'll put the actual dimensions on the screen. And they're just marginally smaller than US letter, but they're pretty close to US letter. So these, I've been using them now for 3 days. Perfect now for me, perfect. I wouldn't have started with something this big, absolutely perfect. So these are going to be my morning pages for I don't know how long. I like the idea of switching it up every now and again, just to keep it fresh. You know, be more open to change. That's another thing I wanted to do out of this. Be more receptive to change. Pens, doesn't matter. As long as it flows. I've written with all sorts of pens. As someone predicted, they were waiting. So I'm waiting for John to get into the world of pens. And I thought, no. I love my Uni-ball. My Uni-ball is great. I've got a Parker Jotter, which I only really like with the gel inserts. It's very difficult to get the gel in a shop. But anyway, I don't know, plants a seed, doesn't it? And so I went and got a Kaweco Sport, which is such a lovely pen. And I got it from Stuart R. Stevenson on Clerkenwell Road, which is a wonderful stationery shop. If you're in London or you visit London, that's a great stationery shop. They also have really good stuff on sale all the time. They usually have the Leuchtturm 1917 colours that no one really wants on sale at a good discount. So it's a lovely shop. So I bought one of these and I put it on the community tab, and someone said, well, next we're waiting to see John go down the ink rabbit hole. And it must have been the next day. I'm going to need some cartridges for my Kaweco Sport. And so I went to another really lovely shop called Undercover in Lamb's Conduit Street in London. They sell very limited selection of stationery, but it's really thoughtfully presented in the shop that sells umbrellas. I think the theme of the shop is umbrellas, but anything, I don't know, but they've got a really nice sensibility. And so I bought this pack. And they've got all the interesting colours like orange and lilac and all sorts of colours of these Kaweco ink. And this writes beautifully. However, yes, I wrote a morning pages with it one morning. And then the next day I didn't. I wrote with what was there. I didn't have it next to my bed, so I just wrote with... But the Uni-ball, I think, is still my favourite. I had a whole period of using these, the Z-grip ballpoint. I've got that recommendation from either YouTube or a Reddit thread. I did these for like a good week, and then no, back to the Uni-ball. So the pen, as long as it flows, as long as it doesn't stop and keeps going, that's all that matters. But the paper size, anyway, I've rambled on and on and on, as I'm prone to do. And hopefully I've explained why there's a slightly unplanned nature to these videos. What do you think about the camera angle? Do you think I should go back to straightening up a little bit? I might need a longer arm on my camera to bring it out more. But anyway, thank you for sticking with this video. Thank you for those of you that are subscribed and liked and all the rest of it. It's really wonderful to see a lovely community gathering around this channel. And I'll be doing some interviews with writers on here as well, people that can share their writing journey. That'll be a new strand that will start soon. I've already got about 4 people that have said that they would be happy to come and talk to us here. So look out for those in the coming weeks and months. And yeah, let me know anything in particular you would like to see on the channel. Let me know in the comments. Thank you, take care. Oh, sign-offs. See you in the next chapter was one of them. I like that, see you in the next chapter. And also Laura said, next entry coming soon. That's a really, really good one. Or speak to you in the next entry. I'll see you in the next entry. Yeah, I like both of those. See you in the next chapter, see you in the next entry. Yes, let's see what one comes out more naturally next time I do a sign off. Thank you for all your comments. If I haven't replied to them, I'm going to get to them now. But yeah, I'd love to read it all. Take care. I'm rambling now. See you in the next entry. See you in the next chapter. See you in the next page. Take care.